Hello, welcome to the Climate Blue Podcast live on YouTube once again for the second night in a row. My name's Dan Rolinson, as you can see on the big letters on screen, joined by John Townley. John, it's preview time for Sheffield United. You've been to BODYMOOR Heath this afternoon to speak to Unai Emery. How are you and how was he?
Yeah, starting with Unai. Unai was fine, in good spirits ahead of the game. I don't feel like I've slept over the last day. After doing the live yesterday, obviously deadline day, it seems to have just continued into one, and here we are again. But yeah, no, I'm doing fine, thanks, Dan. Sheffield United tomorrow away. We don't tend to play many Saturday games, or we haven't so far this season, and we won't if we go far in Europe as well for the rest of the season. So yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully, what would be a massive 3 points as well. Hopefully, we can get those in the bag. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Unai was all good. Looking forward to the trip to Bramall Lane.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday kind of blends into today. Today will blend in tomorrow, won't it, for you, especially an early start getting up to Sheffield for 5:30 kickoff. And then for us, we're doing a post-match live stream this time tomorrow night as well. So 3 podcasts in 3 days, but that's what we want. We want to be talking about Aston Villa. And I'm desperate, John, as I'm sure Unai Emery is, to be talking about a Villa win as well. It's really kind of disappointing, wasn't it, that midweek defeat to Newcastle. And this is it looks a decent opportunity to bounce back against a side that we are on paper better than, but this isn't going to be easy, is it? Just because they're bottom of the league.
No, certainly not. I don't think any game at the moment will be easy for Villa, especially away from home. We know about Villa on the road this season. I keep saying the results haven't been particularly poor at all, by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't really recall a kind of a performance that you can really look at and say that's exactly what Villa have gone to this place to do. Hopefully we see that at Bramall Lane, but yeah, it's going to be a difficult game because Sheffield United are all of a sudden nearly cut adrift at the bottom now. Villa have been in that position previously in 2015-16. And although we lost almost every game, I vividly remember when Man City came to Villa Park. I think it was Remy Gard's first game, maybe. And the Man City player, I think it's Fernandinho, said, "Oh, this is going to be difficult today because Villa need points and they need to fight in the scrap." And I remember laughing and thinking, you're joking. But it can happen if you're not at your best level, and if you take these teams lightly, then you will be found out still. So it's very important that Villa go there and treat Sheffield United like probably underplaying it already by myself saying this, but like a Premier League team, because although they're probably in the Championship next season, Villa can't take it lightly, and they need to be going there and they need to be at the races. That's what John McGinn said after the game against Newcastle. So very important match. And then you're looking at what Chelsea in midweek, so not to look kind of too far ahead, but it's a big 3 games for Villa. Sheffield United away is a game they need to win. Man United at home, again, is going to be difficult. They seem to have turned a bit of a corner, probably since their comeback against us, to be fair. And then again, if we were to slip up there, all of a sudden United are right back in the conversation for Champions League. So that's a really important match. Yeah. Obviously, Chelsea too. If we win that, then you've got a home game against either Leeds or Plymouth. So 3 massive games, but full focus on Sheffield United, and we have to give it full focus, even though they are 10 points. I think they've got this season 8 points adrift from safety at the moment, with the worst goal difference, conceded the most goals in the league, won the least amount of games. But to be honest, I think because we drew to them at Villa Park, that probably says enough to our players of, we can't just go there and expect to be winning. We're going to have to work hard to get the 3 points.
Yeah, we've already been stung once by Sheffield United this season. I would back the lads to put that right, basically, and go there and do everything that they can to win the game. You mentioned some of the stats there. It's terrible reading for Sheffield United. I got a text message. Hopefully that didn't come through the speakers. AVFC Stato, the curse with these negative stats. Sheffield United have kept just 1 clean sheet in the Premier League this season, the fewest of any side, and have conceded 54 goals, the most in the league. Only Barnsley, 97-98, with 57 goals, have ever conceded more at this stage of a Premier League season. So, I mean, that's nailed on for 1-0 Sheffield United, isn't it? Thanks to that tweet. Let's go into the presser then, where we speak about the key lines from Unai Emery's press conference. Goes without saying. Before we get into that, though, I always ask the atmosphere around the place and that kind of thing, and the food options. It's been a long time since we've done one of these preview shows because we had a little break over Christmas. What was it like back in BODYMOOR for you? What was the food options? How was it around the place?
Yeah, to be fair, I've been BODYMOOR quite a lot recently, but I don't think we've done many pre-match shows because of time and stuff. Again, the cookies, they're incredible, mate. Honestly, it's
Can you bring me your son back one time and give it to me in the office?
No, because they go too quickly. Honestly, ask any reporter that goes to Bodymore Heath or has ever been to Bodymore Heath, and this season they'll say the cookies are on the top notch, like top tier. I'm not even like a massive fan of that sort of I don't know, snack or whatever.
Basically.
No, honestly, not even that. Just like cookies. I'm not like a massive fan of biscuits, that sort of thing. But yeah, these are different. The white chocolate ones they do is very nice. And yeah, we had a press conference as well, so we'll go on to that. But yeah, the cookies cookies are class. Yeah, Unai was well too, and as I said earlier, in high spirits. Had a few laughs as well during the press conference. So that's always nice.
What was he laughing about?
Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned that. I can't think myself now. There was a funny moment where one of the reporters, the written reporters, Graham Bryce, he mentioned a few weeks or months back now, saying about, you've never signed an English player in your career. Like, why is that? Kind of, which is very interesting because obviously managed Arsenal before. So yeah, never signed an English player in his career. And then that's clearly stuck with him because today in the press conference, he brought it up. Obviously now we've signed Rodgers. He didn't mention it previously when we were, trying to sign him, but now once we have, it was almost the first thing that he said. So he clearly remembered that stat, I suppose, and kind of, went for a laugh and it paid off. So fair play to Unai.
What did he actually say about Rodgers? I know there's a couple of key lines about injuries and stuff, but we'll do that separately. What did he say about Rodgers specifically?
Yeah, firstly, what I'll say is there's an embargoed line that will be coming out at 10:30, so I can't say too much about that. He mentioned something in the broadcast section. It wasn't like kind of particularly riveting or anything, but I thought the embargoed line was more interesting, which will, as I say, come out at 10:30. I can't really explain what he said because that's.
I was going to say that's so annoying that we're doing this live. If this was pre-recorded and it was out tomorrow, you could just talk about it. Now I can't even know what it is either. I'm going to have to wait.
I don't want to kind of create false excitement. It's not that interesting, but it's worth reading. So. Yeah, it's mainly just him explaining what he kind of plans for Rodgers in terms of his position and where he thinks he'll play and what he can do, which kind of, I don't think it like surprised me in any way, but he's clearly got a plan for him. So yeah, that'll be out at 10:30. If you want, I'm not going to say anything there.
Okay.
I'll be breaking the rules.
I think he will. So test here for John's poker face, everybody. I think he'll want to retrain Morgan Rodgers as a striker. That's my guess. He wants to play him in a support striker role. Watkins and run Rodgers up front.
Well, I can't say what it is, can I? So 10:30, Birmingham Live.
You're gonna have the embargo police after you now saying, "Oh, what's an embargo? Why do I do this? What is the point?" Follow John's social media, 10:30 on the dot, and we'll see what Emery said about Morgan Rodgers. For those that are catching up with this, you'll already know that's really frustrating that we're doing this live. So let's just move on and move past it. Get John out of the hole. Let's go into the injury update. The one here that I'm desperate to see back playing in Claret and Blue is Pau Torres, but he will not feature again, will he, for Villa this week? Very annoying.
This week, yeah. Emery said
this match, yeah. Maybe he won't be back for next weekend, fingers crossed.
Well, we don't know specifically, but Emery said that he's obviously not available. Then we asked them, kind of for a bit more detail, I suppose, what when can he be back? Will he be back for United? That sort of thing. But I think it's difficult because we've seen players come back and aggravate injuries. Pau Torres has done that twice now with the same injury. So I think they're going to be very cautious about when he returns to full training. Emery says hopefully that'll be next week. But, I just think, well, if he returns to full training next week, considering the two setbacks he's already had, does that mean he's going to be playing against Man United? I don't know. I'd probably say it. I know. And I think that's probably their plan as such, but they're not going to risk him just for the sake of playing against Man United for 30 minutes and then he aggravates an injury and then he comes out of that game and then misses the next 3 again. So in a perfect world he's fully fit for Man United, but at the moment I think that's probably looking unlikely still. But what are we, 8 days away from that game? So I don't know exactly what will happen next week. We'll have to wait and see, but hopefully that'll be the case. It'll be a massive boost if so.
Yeah, I really, really need him back. But you're right. When he does come back, you want him to not be injured again. That was such a stupid thing to say. It goes without saying, but you don't want him to come back and aggravate what's happened to him, and then the same thing happens again. Once Power Torres comes back, whether it's next week or another 3 weeks, hopefully that's him in the team then every single week till the end of the season, barring a fresh injury. We don't want this one getting aggravated again and having another setback. He's so important to us. We really, really miss him.
Yeah.
Somebody else who will be missing for tomorrow is Nicolo Zaniolo. Do you want to explain that one as well?
Yeah, to be honest, there isn't much to say about it because it's a fresh injury. It was
today. Did Black training today or yesterday?
This morning he picked up an injury. So Emery really didn't have much information on it, obviously, because he does his press conference. So Villa always train in the mornings, and then Emery will do his press conference at about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, either after or before he has his lunch. So it's like straight off the training field and then speaking to the media. So he had little information about Zaniolo. I don't know where or what the injury is, whether he's strained something or it's a contact injury. I have no idea. But that will come to light, either tomorrow or next week, maybe before Chelsea, if they have a press conference. Then I'm not totally sure if they will. So a blow, because obviously Zaniolo, as Emery said last week, is now the backup for Ollie Watkins. But depending on the severity of this injury at the moment, I presume it's now. Who? I don't know. I think Villa would have to kind of change what they do if Ollie Watkins gets injured and Zaniolo is also injured at the same time. It just wouldn't be an ideal situation at all. So, a frustrating one, because you just want to have depth in your team. As I say, Villa have got 3 games in the next 8 days, or 3 games in 8 days, sorry, which is, going to be taxing. That means Ollie Watkins is going to have to play 90 minutes, in all of those games, obviously. So,
which is likely for him anyway. Like if he's fit, he finish every game, so that's not a surprise. And Zaniolo, as Anthony says in the comments, hasn't really offered a great deal anyway. But it's just
you want the support,
bodies, isn't it? If Watkins is having a stinker or gets injured on the 70th minute, who does come on now? If Duran was the backup and he's injured, and Zaniolo was the backup,
Zaniolo. Yeah, I know it's not like I agree with the comment that Zaniolo hasn't lit it up at all for Villa yet. But
I'd rather have him than not at all.
Yeah, and the examples when he came on against Sheffield United and gets the equaliser, he has had that effect. So it can happen again. You want to look at your bench and see players who play for their international teams, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Zaniolo, Duran, those players who were there are now no longer there. So Villa's bench, you can have probably 2 goalkeepers there and a lot of youth players again still, or maybe defenders who aren't going to come on and change the game. So it is difficult now for Villa to change what they're going to be doing from game to game, which I think if you look at it in another way, you're thinking, well, Man United now know how Villa are going to play against them. So do Chelsea and so does Sheffield United, because Emery has so little options to call on. There's only one real 11, I suppose, at the moment. Maybe the only change you're looking at is, is it Diaby or Bailey? You've got Cash and Conser as well, but those are 2 quite... do you know what I mean? There's not a whole lot Emery can do right now, so I think it's quite predictable what Villa are going to do, which is not the worst thing in the world. When we're at it, we're one of the best teams in the division. So it's just a shame that we can't have that support, I suppose.
And one that I'd forgotten about before we move on from John in the comments is Luca Dean. What's the status with him?
Just still injured at the moment. Emery said it would be going back in the last month.
Very specific, like 22 days or something.
Yeah, and that's he was specific for sure, but I think he's now going to probably come towards the end of his kind of rehab, and he'll be joining full training hopefully shortly. So there's no update as such on Luca Dean, but because it's a hamstring injury, you've got to be careful, haven't you? So maybe next week, I don't know, maybe after Man United, but Emery didn't say so. I'm just guessing there.
Okay, right. Next up, no opposition view this week, because obviously we're doing this live, and I've been working a weird shift today and not had a chance to catch up with our Sheffield United version of John Townley, as effectively the Sheffield United reporter. We'll do away from match day, which I'm going to use as just a quick plug to another piece of content that we've done today on the podcast feed specifically, so not for YouTube. So if anyone only ever watches the Current Blue podcast rather than listen to it, if you head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or wherever you get them, Matt Kendrick has launched a new mini-series called Villa Voice Notes, which comes off the back of a few weeks ago. We did a live stream and my Wi-Fi disappeared for 10 minutes and Matt had to fill for 10 minutes on his own and did very well, to be fair, waffling through it by himself. And the comment suggested that, you know what, that was actually quite interesting. Fair play to you for doing that. And that gave us the idea to just give Matt the microphone for 10 minutes and just chat about whatever he wants. It could be reporting from a memory from an old reporting day. It could be a favourite shirt or whatever it is, a totally random subject or something topical about the team or VAR or a talking point around the club. This week was the first episode of that. And it was, I just let him go with it, didn't tell him what to do, just said, go, yeah, you go and record it and I'll upload it. And it was like a 10-minute chat about like the sentimentality of going to football with family and not being appreciative for going with his dad and his son and his nephew. And that, yes, you go to Villa Park and want to win, and when you don't, it's disappointing. But just taking a minute to go, there's 3 generations of my family here doing something that we love together, and that's a nice thing. So it's well worth a listen. It's only 10 minutes long. Each episode will only be 10 minutes long as a maximum, and he's going to be doing 1 a week for the rest of the season, hopefully. And that's Matt Kendrick's Villa voice notes on audio only, so you won't find that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. Right, on with the show. Predicted 11 time for you, John. I didn't get you to run through this before we started, but as you said, there aren't many options for Emery. So what do you think we'll be lining up with tomorrow?
I think he'll probably make one change, which I think will be Bailey coming in for probably Diaby, to be honest. He did speak about Diaby in the press conference as well and mentioned about how he doesn't doubt he'll return to his or rediscover his form, I suppose, because he did show at the start of the season for sure. He had 6 goal involvements in his first 7 league games and has kind of come off the boil since then. I think everyone's talking about him. He's kind of the talking point at the moment, Diaby. 1 goal in 12 league games, his previous 12, sorry. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him come out of the team, not because, I don't rate the player or anything like that. I just think Leon Bailey right now is Villa's most informed football player, and he's just instrumental at the moment. There's every chance Villa could have drawn that game against Newcastle if Ollie Watkins was, I don't know, a size 6 football boot rather than a size 10 or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's a real conundrum at the moment, that Diaby situation. But Emery said himself that he doesn't doubt he'll get back into form because of his commitment to improving, and he's very professional. He's got the right attitude to improve, and that's key for Emery, and one of the reasons why he signed him in the first place. So maybe that's the only change. I could see Matty Cash staying in the team just so we have that kind of balance of Kamara dropping into a 3, Cash pushing up on the right. I do think that works well when Villa kind of impose themselves, take the game towards teams, and that is what they're going to have to do tomorrow against Sheffield United. Sheffield will come out more so than what they did at Villa Park, because they were clearly clinging on for a point, and to be fair, they could have won it in the end. But throughout the whole game and up until Cameron Archer scored, and of course after that, but they were very much kind of camped in their own half, frustrating Villa, and I don't expect them to be that negative. However, that will be, I presume, the setup of the game, but a more open match, I think, will probably play into Villa's hands. So, maybe Diaby and Bailey both start together. But if I had to predict what Emery will be doing, I think Bailey will just come in for Diaby, and the rest will pretty much pick itself.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Don't know whether this encroaches upon your embargoed content for the Morgan Rogers line at 10:30. Whether that was anything about him playing or not, I don't expect it to be that he will be starting tomorrow. I think that would be a juicy embargo line, and he said it wasn't that interesting. But we all assume he will be involved in the squad at least, and he will feature tomorrow. Is that fair?
Yeah, he'll be in the squad. He's ready to play. He's obviously fit. He's played.
Does he start? Does he start? Is that a wild card starting?
No, he's not going to start. No. But he'll be in the team. As I say, he's probably the player you're going to look towards now on the bench and say, well, he's the one that's going to want to make a difference. Obviously, as I say, if Bailey comes in, then Diaby will be on the bench, or maybe if they both play together, then Tielemans would be on the bench. But I think that would be unlikely, because I think Tielemans is kind of perfect for this game against Sheffield. But yeah, Rogers will be amongst the subs. He'll potentially make his debut. He's ready. So, yeah, hopefully, if he does come on, he can have a nice start to his Villa career.
We'll do score prediction in a sec. I'm going to say now that Morgan Rogers plays tomorrow and he scores. That's my prediction. Early doors. Morgan Rogers on the score sheet tomorrow, off the bench.
Yeah. It can happen.
Of course it can. The comment from PJJ, who says, I keep hearing we've been found out. This is professional football. Managers analyse and adapt. We took teams by surprise, and now the surprise factor has gone, but Unai's way of playing is valid. I don't know whether we spoke about this after Newcastle, but me and my dad had the conversation on the way back from the game. The people around us were saying, like on the walk back to the car park, that we've been found out and Villa have been, shut down and all these kind of things. I don't get that notion of being found out, as if like Premier League teams don't know exactly what all the others want to do anyway, with hours and hours of scouts and analysts looking at every single side. Newcastle wouldn't have come to Villa Park and thought, oh, we know what to do against Villa here today because we found them out. Every game, Sheffield United will know exactly what we're going to do tomorrow, and we know exactly what they're going to do because of the research that goes into every single game. So this kind of lazy, I think, analysis of a club being found out. I just don't think that's a thing in professional football. I think it's an easy thing to say when somebody kind of stumbles upon a run of poor form. Having said that, we have got to find a way to beat teams when we're expected to beat them. It's games like tomorrow that we look at and think, if we're going to make top 4 or top 5, do Arsenal go to Sheffield United tomorrow and not win? To Liverpool, like, these sides beat these sides, don't they? And if Villa want to be taken seriously, a point or less is nowhere near good enough tomorrow. We have to win.
Yeah, I've said before, my I don't know what word you used when you said, what was your kind of pet hate, Dan? Was something to do with the cup game. I can't quite remember. But yes, that was it. Sorry. And my equivalent of that is must win, because if Villa don't have to win tomorrow.
If we don't win tomorrow, we get relegated.
No, but you know what I mean? I understand what I'm trying to say. Is I totally agree with what you're saying. Villa need to win the game tomorrow, and if they don't, they've dropped points. That's what I'd say, but it's not a must win, because it's not the end. It's not the last game of the season. We've got another however many left, but it is massive, because you are right. Sheffield United are probably going to get relegated this season, and Villa, if they've got aspirations to finish in the top 4, top 5, then they need to be, at least beating those teams once in a season, and they haven't done it yet against Sheffield United. So it is important. What I would say about the whole have Villa been found out, I would just say that Pau Torres missing is just a huge loss. I think I might have said that yesterday. I'm not too sure. As I said, the last 24 hours have been a blur, but he is everything. He encompasses everything that we want to do, and it's no surprise why Newcastle pressed us so high, and it looked so effective, and it was effective. But that was because we don't have Pau Torres to put a foot on the ball and clip it around the corner, and we're out. And Clement Longley. The joys of
I won't tell you
live.
what I clicked there, because I shouldn't have.
It could have been worse. Could have been worse. Clement Longley played well against Newcastle, for the record. He made a couple of crucial blocks, and there was nothing wrong with his performance. It's just that Pau Torres, what he gives you progressively, I always said, I really don't know if there's a better centre back in world football that does it like he can. So that has been a huge loss for us. And I do think as well, my other point about is escaped my mind a little bit now. Hold on. They haven't found us out, but Villa do need to adapt. I forget my other point though, Dan. So you have to take over. But
that's all right. I think we've done enough there for that point. I don't agree that Premier League teams have suddenly found somebody out because they've got a bad run of form. It's the clubs know what's going to happen. It's just that the other club has failed to adapt or got a team selection wrong or whatever it is. Like, the opposition know what we're going to do. There's no such thing, I don't think, as being found out. Let's just end with predictions then. If this point comes back to you, John, you can go with it.
Yeah, I'm desperate to think of it.
Score predictions. We're not on a great run at the moment. We both predicted Villa to win against Everton and Newcastle. And obviously in real life, that was a draw and a defeat. I said 2-0 against Newcastle. You said 2-1. So absolutely nobody go and bet your life savings on whatever we're about to say. If you do bet, obviously gamble responsibly, of course. John, I'll let you go first. Score prediction: Sheffield United versus Aston Villa.
Can I make my other point quickly?
Go on, then, yeah.
And it's not actually the best point ever. It was just that teams are respecting us more. That was my only other observation. And I think I said before, Brighton wouldn't come to Villa Park as they did now. And when we beat them 6-1, they wouldn't play like. I know they play similar. It's probably not the best example, but teams know what we're going to do to them, especially on the break and when we have space. So again, I think that kind of coincides with the RB's form as well, kind of dropping off. But yeah, my prediction, my heart tells me Villa are going to win the game. I think it'll be close, but I think if Villa can, for sure, I think if they keep a clean sheet, they win the match, because Sheffield United concede a lot of goals, and they will have to come out against us at home, because all of a sudden Sheffield United now need to win their home games pretty much to have a chance of staying in the division. But my head tells me it's going to be a draw, to be fair. I just think we're in a bit of a rut at the moment, and I still think we can finish top 5, of course I do. But I think it'll be close. So I'll say 2-1 Villa.
Okay. This week, as we said at the beginning, it does feel really important in the grand scheme of a season. I know, as we said, must win isn't a thing, because even if we lost all 3 games this week, we can still win the following 10 and finish high at the table. You know what I mean? Like, anything's possible. But if you're talking about not beating Sheffield United, you can imagine the mood of the fan base. And me personally, I'll be disappointed if we don't win. Imagine we get dumped out the FA Cup midweek, and then you play Man United at home, which is a disgusting feature for us historically, and they beat us as well. You're talking about 1 point to going out the FA Cup, and you're going, Christ, that was a bad 7 days. So they're like, that's possible.
Yeah, this week, the start of this month is huge, and every game from now on until the end of the season feels huge because we've got something to play for this season. But specifically this week, because we had, against United, we had the opportunity to go, I think it was about 17 points clear on them or something like that, something remarkable. And all of a sudden that could be cut to, I don't know what it is now. Is it 8? And then it could be cut to 5 next week. Maybe more if we don't pick up the points against Sheffield United. So, it's a huge week. And all of a sudden, I keep saying, by the time we play that Conference League game and that starts to ramp up again, hopefully we can go far in it. We want to be, or we want to have as great a cushion, I suppose, in terms of points on those teams behind us. It's what we have had, and now there's an opportunity for the teams to kind of regain on us. So, it's still in our hands, of course it is, but it's very important that we win games like Sheffield United away, and then our home games, obviously, against Man United, who are going to compete possibly for the Champions League with us this season.
Yeah, and as much as I painted the negative picture of how this week could go, the reverse is also very true. There's every possibility that Villa win all 3 games this week, or don't lose. They beat Sheffield United, go through the cup against Chelsea, and draw to Man United, and that's a great week for Villa. Either are totally possible, but there's just that kind of knife edge feel at the moment that Villa haven't been great for a month, 6 weeks, and if that continues into this week as well, it could be a totally different picture this time next week. So
this might sound a bit negative, but I'd be disappointed if we don't win any of those games. I just know I will. Sheffield United, we need to win because they are bottom of the league. No disrespect, but that those are the facts. Chelsea, I'll be disappointed, of course, if we don't win, because we then have a home tie and it's a home game. And Man United at home, that's a game that I want to win for many reasons, but also in terms of the context of the season. If we can push ahead of them and go further, then that's obviously a massive opportunity. And I know, that probably sounds a bit greedy, 3 wins out of 3, but that's
the standard, isn't it?
I know that I'll be frustrated if we don't get that, because I know we can.
If you were going to drop points in one of those games and you had to pick, if I could offer you 2 wins but you drop in another, what would you pick?
I hate you. I mean, I would go.
I think there's an obvious answer there.
United would be the one that you'd draw, I suppose, but I really don't want to. I want to beat them.
No, I disagree.
Again. Oh, okay. I was only going to say that.
I think if you're going to draw a game, it's tomorrow, and then you beat Chelsea and beat United.
All right, if we're going to draw a game, I'll say Chelsea and we beat on penalties. There we go.
Okay, good cop out.
But the United game is a kind of we really want to win it, again, for many reasons, but, they're the ones who have to gain on us. So, I don't know, the onus is on them to come to Villa and win, because that's their opportunity to gain +3 rather than none. But I just want to win all 3 games, of course.
Yeah.
But I know
the draw keeps us level with where we were with United. Obviously, I want to win Chelsea. I don't want to be out of the FA Cup, and a draw isn't a thing apart from your cup out going to penalties.
I think the gap at the moment is 8 points between us and United, which sounds like a lot, but it isn't. That can change in the space of a week. And there's a lot of games left in the season, especially for us in Europe.
Yeah, I only said draw tomorrow in the sense that I'd rather not lose points to Man United. I'd rather beat them and make the gap even bigger. But obviously, draw against Sheffield United would be a bad result. My prediction is 4-1 Villa, just for reference. I'm going the reverse of a 4-1 defeat at Sheffield United in the Championship. Do you remember that?
Yeah. El Ghazi scored, didn't he?
I can't remember. I was there for that one. We did a video on the Villa View for it. It's 4-1. It was like, what a waste of a trip that was. A good day, but a terrible result. Really.
I remember listening to BBC The Week after the game, and then Steve Bruce was like coming under pressure at this point, and then they asked him, and he was like, "Oh, want to fight on and stuff, but if they let me go, then so be it." And I think I celebrate in the car. But that was dreadful. That might have been El Ghazi's first goal for the club. potentially.
I mean, you've got a great memory, so I'm just going to say yes,
think it
that
was.
is true, and that did happen.
It might be the
But yeah,
game after. Did we play Reading? I think he made his debut against Reading, I think. But yeah,
I don't know.
Could be wrong.
4-1 Villa, anyway, is what I'm going with. 2-1 for you. 2 shouts for 3-1 Villa in the comments as well. I can see there on the right-hand side as well. 2 personal questions, John, just to end very quickly. So we've done the bulk of the show. Where
Personal
are
questions on a live. This is going to be
one from Henry. Oh, mine's easy. Were you wearing a gold beanie at the game on Tuesday, Dan? No, I was wearing a woolly hat. It was this colour. I did think I had it up here, but I don't. So possibly an orangey hat rather than a gold beanie. Yeah, I'm Lower Trinity, Henry. So if that tallies up with who you saw where, maybe it was me. Yes, John, your question. Sounds just funny. From Chips85. Does John boil his chicken?
What? Do I boil my chicken? I don't boil my chicken. I fry my chicken. I don't like how it tastes after it's been boiled, to be honest.
Yeah,
But,
boiled chicken.
Feel free to leave. Feel free to leave your own opinion on that. Who asked the question? Sorry.
Chips85.
Chips85. Yeah. I'd love to know your recipes.
We'll call it a night there, John. Thanks for your time as always. Thanks for the comments, for getting involved on this live stream. For those of you that are catching up with this on Friday evening or Saturday, obviously the game is Saturday, so very little time to get this out there, which is why we've done it live. Save me some editing time. Get involved in the comment section with your predicted 11s and your score predictions as always. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, scroll down, leave us a 5-star review. That is very handy. On iTunes specifically, if you can write a little sentence about what you like about the show, those things really help put the show out to a wider audience, I'm told, from the powers that be. So if you can do that, that really helps us on the back end as well. Right, that's it for this one. I'll be back with the post-match show tomorrow evening, same kind of time as this. I'm not sure who with yet, but hopefully we're talking about a really important 3 points for Aston Villa. Right, cheers, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.